We're here for another edition of the Outlook series, and I'm your host, Mike Lippis. Currently, Restful APIs for any enterprise application are being regarded as next generation to SOA architectures. Cloud-based software and microservices are heavily delivering into Restful APIs. Therefore, it's important for organizations and their software platforms to open the gateway of API for the future. Now joining us to discuss Restful APIs is Bipin Shah. Bipin is the CEO of Kovair Software. Bipin Shah, welcome to the Outlook series.
Thank you, Michael.
So now, Bipin, when did the ESB, or the Enterprise Service Bus, come along, and what are its benefits?
So ESB, according to us, has been around since around 2002. And fundamentally, it's an architecture with a set of rules and principles for integrating numerous applications together over a bus-like infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And the benefits of ESB are its scaling from, typically integrations have been point-to-point. So ESB allows you to scale beyond a single point of contact. It's 100% configurable rather than using hard coding in a point-to-point application. So, for example, the Kovair configuration is all mouse click. Scalability and reliability. And then easy plug-in and plug-out, so you can bring something into ESB when you need it or want it and take it out when it's either no longer needed or the tool or application is obsolete or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then having the ability to route and mediate. So you can control with a set of rules as to what you want the routing of the data to be when you connect to applications, and what are some of the mediation necessary from a business rule standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is an API?
Okay, so API is an acronym for Application Programming Interface. So basically it's a software intermediary that allows you to connect two or more applications to talk to each other. And it's a set of endpoints that allow one to execute needful activities within an application from an external control.
Mm-hmm. So to what extent have APIs achieved market acceptance?
By the way, before I answer that, I should have added about the REST API, right? Mm-hmm. So the Kovair API adheres to the rules or principles of REST API, and the REST API do not require the client to know anything about the structure of the API. And in the process, they support the protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, and more recently TLS 1.1, TLS 1.2 encryption. So, having said that from the prior question, let me go to the next question. You're talking about the market acceptance of the REST API, that's the question?
Exactly.
Okay. So, I would say the REST API have had, profound impact on software development. Over the last few years, the industry is moving very fast to REST API, from APIs like SOAP, COM, and so on. So that's what we are seeing in the market today. Mm-hmm. And I'll have a little more to talk about that later on.
Alrighty. Now, what are the benefits of API-enabled products?
So REST allows, first of all, a great variety of data formats, right? Whereas SOAP supports XML only. REST provides superior performance. REST is the protocol used most often to major services, or by major services, such as Amazon, eBay, Google, and Yahoo. It's generally faster and uses less bandwidth. The interface is very uniform, so you have commands like, post, get, put, delete, etc., where people can use those to transfer data or other resources. Mm-hmm. It also has more visibility for the user, better reliability and scalability. Mm-hmm.
Well,
and above all, last but not the least, is the flexibility and portability of REST.
Mm-hmm. Well, does this mean the end of middleware integration solutions then?
I guess ESB itself is a middleware in a sense, right? So it's difficult to discuss differences between middleware and ESB. However, middleware acts as a bridge between the applications, and ESB implements the communication system between mutually integrating applications in an SOA type architecture. I don't know if I made it clear, but that's the answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, how do APIs make data integration easier?
So 3 points here. First, they bring automation. Any manual time-consuming job like feeding data to an application or extraction of data, right, based on a query can be achieved within seconds or minutes with an API versus without it. Based on that, you can generate reports in a timely or prompt manner. And basically, REST API also provides superior performance. So you have a higher speed performance, like I mentioned earlier, as well as there is a uniform interface. So that provides a faster learning curve for faster development.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are the primary API components?
So there are physical components like the HTTP, HTTPS based API endpoints. Then there's the central repository to track and manage the API calls. And from a commercial standpoint, the licensing engine, etc., to track and manage the licenses. And then there are the functional components, which are like security, configuration, data extraction, and the data access or tool data access. So we get direct access to, we talk more in terms of development tools, so we tend to use those examples frequently. So basically direct access to the tool data, using the APIs.
Right. Now, how can enterprises avoid ripping and replacing their legacy systems or integrations?
So philosophically, let me tell you, Michael, that Kovair has always tried to recommend to clients to not rip and replace. So if, let's say, when you talk legacy system from an integration standpoint, either the data is in silos and integration has not been achieved, or if there is a legacy integration, it's all point-to-point. And so ESB can be achieved, can be implemented without removing or replacing those tools and making them more productive and more useful and extending your payback period by using ESB type integration. So that is the biggest benefit we see, in terms of bringing ESB with whatever API, let's say, is applicable for your applications into the IT structure or the development infrastructure of the company.
Okay. So what is the Kovair API gateway?
So with our introduction of REST API, basically that is our gateway, which is hosted in a web server. So it has been designed to provide users with a clean and straightforward experience for integrating, with the Kovair ALM and Omnibus, which is on the same platform. And then, since these are REST API in nature, and by the way, REST stands for Representational State Transfer. So it adheres to the principles of REST and does not require the client to know anything, basically. And it supports the protocol that I mentioned earlier with, HTTP, HTTPS, and TLS, and so on. Right? So that's basically, how I would describe the REST gateway.
Now, what is the Kovair API value proposition then?
So we think of value proposition for the APIs as follows. So first of all, extract data from the platform. Right? Since our platform is a central repository of all the development functions like DevOps, including Agile development methodology, defect management, test management, etc. It extracts all the functional data for analytics. It allows the IT teams to, provision workspace and omnibus configurations through these APIs. Once you have done that, allows you to push data to the platform from external sources to build this data repository. And by the way, Kovair Omnibus always had a data repository, so the current API doesn't change that picture. And then once you have that repository and all the tools are connected, basically allows you to extract all that data for any analytics that you want to do with any tools that you want to use. And even though this is not the topic for current discussion, we have just introduced a data lake product that large corporations will be able to use for extensive data, both putting that data into data lake as well as doing the analytics. And then all the transaction data for any troubleshooting, any data that one finds out that may not have transferred or may have some reliability issues in that data. This APIs allow you to extract the transaction data and do whatever troubleshooting that you may need to do. Right? Somewhat long-winded answer, but I think it's pretty comprehensive in terms of what the APIs allow us to do, or what's the value proposition.
Yeah, definitely the value proposition. Now, what can you tell our audience about leveraging the Kovair Omnibus platform?
So Omnibus has been Kovair's flagship product and flagship platform. We have used that for integrating lots of tools. We have about 80 plus tools integrated so far. And with the release of the REST API, it allows us to, expose the endpoints to the end users for immediate, implementation of their power end user needs, if I can use that word.
Mm-hmm. Now, can the Kovair platform be leveraged as a central repository?
The answer is absolutely yes. I think we are one of the early companies who have had a repository along with the Omnibus for the last 7-8 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And in providing an integrated solution with all the multiple tools that I mentioned, we've always had a data repository as part of our infrastructure, and customers have used it very beneficially to get reports that they may not be able to get for an integrated tool ecosystem, mm-hmm. As well as the analytics and dashboards and so on.
I see. Now, can you share a use case with our audience?
Basically, it's a very simple way of looking at it. So if you have an IT team that the users go to for, setting up some new need or a new report or a new integration, the IT teams can create bridges, between the tools or applications very, very promptly, and they can do some easy scripting as they need, and can be deployed in matter of several minutes to maybe a few hours. Mm-hmm. So that's I would say a very basic generic use case, but it covers a lot of ground.
I see. Okay, Bipin, would you like to add anything else to our discussion before we wrap up for today?
I'd say the REST API is, heart of the next generation of communication for cloud or on-premise application integration solutions. So we would like our readers to, learn more about it, and we'll be doing some webinars and so on in the very near future. So would request them to keep an eye on our website and join those kinds of webinars. And I would say that we have added some recent literature on the website with a landing page and some blogs and so on. So would like them to go to www.kovair.com and access some of the collaterals that would help them more with this information.
Well, fantastic, Bipin. I certainly appreciate you joining us here today, and wish you the best of luck with your endeavors over there at Kovair Software.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to log on to the Outlook Series site for your business and technology news.